Hong Kong. It's the sort of place you can take in a heap of experiences in a very short time. By day, you're cheek by jowl with the locals, taking in the sights, sounds and smells of the Orient. Or looking down at a massive high-rise apartment blocks and office towers, all fighting for their bit of space. Hills on one side and the magnificent Victoria Harbour on the other. And that skyline is just as impressive at night. But in the last year or so, it's literally gone off. Every night at 8 p.m, Hong Kong is transformed by a 15-minute show called Symphony of Light. That's every night, not just New Year's Eve. It's a coordinated performance of lasers, lights and fireworks. It's taken years of planning and implementation, and thanks to an innovative Australian company called Laser Vision, it's taken light shows beyond tomorrow. This is an awesome light show, in fact the biggest in the world. On those buildings across there are 700,000 LED lights spread around 7 kilometres of buildings around the harbour. There are 6,000 intelligent lights and laser beams, more than 1,000, generated by 5 of the most powerful visual lasers in the world. And if all that weren't enough, the whole thing, the whole show, can be coordinated by one person sitting at a computer screen. We're going to give you a behind-the-scenes tour of this fantastic light show. Laser Vision made a big splash back in 1993 when Sydney won the right to host the Olympic Games. And the Opera House came alive with these spectacular laser images. Fast forward more than a decade, and look what they can do now. The challenge to putting on a light show like that is there's lots of different effects happening out there. You've got the conventional lighting, you've got the graphics, you've got lasers, you've got fireworks. Now, traditionally, these are all done by different groups of people using different technologies. And the technologies don't speak the same languages, so getting them all to work together would be a nightmare, except for this. This is the genius. This bank of computers here speaks all those different languages. It then translates them into one universal language, sends that across the harbour via the internet to all the buildings participating in the show. It's called a digital data pump, or DDP, and it's the reason Laser Vision's Director of Design, Simon McCartney, was able to stage something as ambitious as Symphony of Light.
If the net goes down, no matter, the DDP will continue to flywheel until such time as the net comes up, and the flywheel is a piece of software which will keep them synced up with real time for a week or so before you'd notice any real discrepancies.
Oh, yeah. So they'll just go off 8 o'clock every night.
Yep.
Each one will go off.
Can't stop them, actually.
And they each know their part. They each know when to come on, when to go off.
Exactly, and the cool thing is we can look at them over the web and say, well, we're getting a bit close to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, let's just have a look and make sure somebody hasn't accidentally unplugged one or something like that. And if they're not responding, we can do something about it.
Cool indeed, but I reckon this is even cooler, sitting in at Control Central. Operators Rob and Lloyd are already designing Symphony of Light Phase 2, which will be even bigger and better than the current show. So you're actually putting a video image on the outside of that building, essentially?
Absolutely, you can do quite complex graphics, text, all manner of things really, and then send it over the net. So what you see on this monitor here is what you see on that building over there. So it's a perfect position to program this.
Yeah. I said one man could drive all this. Well, tonight, I'm that man.
These buttons along here select the colours, and then these ones select their different effects. So if I grab the mouse and drive.
Just want to change that to blue?
Yep.
Look at that.
There you go.
Got the whole of Hong Kong watching my artwork. Green, back to blue, green, blue. And now there's a strobe button here.
Yep.
So what with that, a slow strobe, I can just push that.
There we go.
Fast strobe. This is one of the buildings in the show, the Hopewell Centre. 65 stories high, still nowhere near the tallest building in Hong Kong. And here's where all the electronics are. Now, this is the box of electronics that picks up that universal language signal coming from headquarters, and then it translates it back into the language that the LED lighting system can speak and the language the laser system speaks. So you've got everything networked and computerized. what would it be like if you didn't have that setup?
Unaffordable. It would be like running an Olympic event, you know, where the lighting department had a staff of 120, and that was just in one building, the stadium. And here we'd need lasers, fireworks, communications,
and
management.
you'd have to do that every night, which
you can't do it.
You can't do that.
The technology was an essential part of making it practical and possible and repeatable.
Even so, a nightly performance like this doesn't come cheap. Every day, those fireworks have to be manually reloaded. Companies like the Bank of China and the HSBC dug deep to pay for their individual displays.
Look, they understood that it was for the good of the city. The average stay of a tourist in Hong Kong is about 3.5 nights, something like that. The argument is one about economic development rather than entertainment. If you can persuade people to stay an extra night by giving them a reason to do so, the benefits to Hong Kong are enormous, and that's exactly why it was done.